Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Kristen Commentary Podcast. I'm going to start off this episode with something that might be a little unexpected. I'm going to play a short clip from Fox News. Roll it, Stevie.
There is a lot of good that I think will come out of the big, beautiful bill, but what about things like...
Right now, people are hurting, and he campaigned on immediate change, day one change.
And you don't think you've felt any change? People aren't feeling change.
So that was Charlemagne the God chatting with Laura Trump about the big, beautiful bill. And I'm sharing this clip because he absolutely nails it here. Trump made big promises about making our day-to-day lives easier, more affordable, and more prosperous, and people are still hurting. It's been 7 months, and a lot of people feel like we are even worse off now than we were before, including some people who voted for Trump. Because his campaign really masterfully, and I'll give him credit for this, really masterfully tapped into what people were feeling in terms of economic anxiety. He promised lower gas prices, lower taxes, lower grocery prices. He promised a booming economy and a new golden age. And on Inauguration Day, I wished him well in these endeavors because while I disagree with him strongly on many things, when it comes to making people's lives easier and more affordable, he has my full support in those endeavors. I would really love to see him do that. And as Charlemagne the God poignantly notes in his conversation with Trump's daughter-in-law on Fox News, Trump promised fast relief, like day one kind of things. So instead, he used his first day in office to write a bunch of executive orders, including one that pardoned violent rioters from January 6th. And he wasn't really focusing so much on these kitchen table issues, and he really hasn't been. This includes his policies on things like tariffs, which have not done well for consumer confidence. Now, I understand what he's doing a lot of times with these tariffs, where he'll do something very, very big as a way of working his opponents down in some kind of negotiation, like a negotiation shock tactic. I think that the best case scenario would be if these negotiations yielded zero tariffs on all sides. And if that happens, listen, he'll get praise from me on the tariffs if that happens, because that would make life more affordable for everyday Americans. But instead, we are paying these tariffs, and tariffs are taxes. So these tariffs have brought in a lot of much needed revenue to the federal government, but it is also making things more expensive. It is increasing inflation. The Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index fell sharply in February after Trump enacted some of his hard-hitting ideological orders, and it's been falling pretty consistently ever since. We are almost at a 5-year low, which means that we are going back to COVID numbers of low consumer confidence. University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index has the same pattern. It started falling sharply in February and consistently has been going down due to the tariffs, due to the bad jobs report, increased inflation, and just overall general economic uncertainty and insecurity in this moment. So something has got to give. One thing that a lot of Americans have in common, regardless of party affiliation, is that they want a government that will make their lives easier. So I have brought on a guest with me today who is really exceptional at finding common ground and building bridges, and also has a real talent for summarizing some of these big contentious cultural moments into these amazingly accessible metaphors. Buckle up, you're going to enjoy this one. Welcome to Kristen Commentary.
Oh, America, land of the brave, but who will save the ones who crave freedom in a land so divided, where dreams and reality collided?
Okay, everybody, I am so happy for you to meet my guest today, Dr., because we respect rank here, Dr. Jenna Gerdsen. Welcome, my friend.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been wanting to get you on this show for a while because, like I said in my intro, you are somebody who is able to take a big, complex cultural moment and just find a metaphor for it and find a way of explaining it. And you were always able to do that. But first, before we get into how we know each other, I want you to brag about yourself. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do and where you're coming from. I'm going to call you a professional cultural analyst. Do you think that that's
Ooh,
accurate?
it's such a big title, but I'm going to take it. It's very
Yes,
flattering.
take it. Take it.
Uh, Bragging is hard. Self-bragging is hard. Uh, but I'm gonna launch. I'm gonna do it. I have a PhD in theater and performance studies, just like Kristen. I'm a theater historian, I'm a dramaturg, I'm a teacher, and I specialize in Asian American and Pacific Islander American theater and performance broadly. And so all of that is like a fancy way of saying that I'm a bridge builder. As Kristen said, I do love a good metaphor. But if I had to describe my job like in a single kind of word is bridge builder, trying to look at how different cultures fit together, trying to understand how we can make the most sort of impact and resonance between audience and creative team. And metaphors help me do that a lot.
It's such a brilliant way of distilling these big ideas into something that's digestible and accessible for people to chew on. I'm going to hone in on this one word you said, dramaturg. I am also a dramaturg, but let's explain to the folks out there who might not know what exactly is a dramaturg and why do we need more of us right now?
Yes, good question. So highlighting that word bridge, the
Yeah.
dramaturg is like the ultimate architect, bridge builder. The dramaturg is like, again, metaphors. This is going to be a recurring theme in this
Yes.
conversation. Is like the dramaturg is like that person that knows everybody and like enables a party to happen. Like, is that person that's
Yeah.
like, I know a person that knows a person and can get all the most sort of unexpected people together in a room
Yeah.
and get those people talking and make, having them have a good time. And we need dramaturgs more than ever right now, especially for this current administration. They are performers. They are narrative writers. They are performers. They're putting on a show. It's not always a good show, but
No.
they're trying to be out here like Grey's Anatomy. Like they're just pump and dump, just multiple seasons.
And it's all about the high drama, right? They're creating
Yeah.
because they know that people will tune in if there's this sense of urgency, if there's this sense of high drama to everything. But yeah,
Artificial conflicts.
The outrage
Context.
industry, like Trump himself, not a lot of people know this, but he is actually a very big theater fan. He's a big musical theater guy. He's a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan. He loves those mega musicals from the 80s. And anybody that tuned into my episode 6 last week will hear me and Kevin Durkin talking about the 80s and musicals and Trump's connection to that in general. But I think that Trump is a very theatrical man. In general, I think he even said that he sees the world through the lens of central casting. So I think that a lot of things that the pundits miss right now is that connection to performance and the way that he sees a lot of himself and what he is doing through that lens. So we need like we need some dramaturgs right now to come in and analyze these politics as a performance. And that's what we studied. We met each other at the University of Maryland in the PhD program, and
Go
our
Terps.
diplomas, yeah, go Terps. Our diplomas actually say theater and performance studies on it. And performance studies, for those that don't know, is we look at the crossover between everyday and performance, right? Real things that happen, things that are very, very real, that have elements of performance to them in everyday life. And politics is definitely one of them. This administration is a masterclass in the politics of performance because they actually are very aware of it. They're very deliberate in it. They are crafting these narratives. They are crafting these characters, these personas. I like to call a dramaturg like the like a one person R&D department of a play. Sometimes they use them in film. They need to use them in film a little bit more, I think. That's just me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
definitely.
like thinking about, looking at it through this lens and breaking it down this way in terms of things like objectives, like what is it that they're trying to do? What tactics are they employing? These are the building blocks of acting and directing, right?
And really through, if we look through performance, like the whole, even from his last kind of
Yeah.
presidential era, like this is all a performance. And the
Yeah.
problem is there's not enough dramaturgs to interpret this, but it's one way to break down his patterns, especially, and to figure out how to hold him accountable is to track those patterns. Like what's the
Yeah.
story he's telling
Hmm.
and how is it kind of coming forward or not, right? So if you're looking, and anyone can do this, is the thing, like I want to stress this, that like
Yeah. Yeah.
just as you would evaluate a TV show or a movie, like this is the
Right.
same process that dramaturgs undergo. We just have
Yeah.
additional context that maybe a viewer at home wouldn't have, and it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
dramaturg's job to really facilitate those conversations and take what people do know and then help them actually just formalize the process they're already doing at home on the couch.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody is on social media analyzing the crap out of these movies that we see or the TV shows or everything else. It's like you were all dramaturgs. Congratulations, you're all dramaturgs. The only difference is Jenna and I have been more trained. That's literally the only difference, but anybody can do this. And we're happy to share some of these techniques and some of these ways. And metaphor is a very helpful thing. Again, because it consolidates everything and it says, here's what's happening. You
Right. And like
guys.
here are the formulas too. Like Chris and I are both like we have training in theater theory too. So we
Yeah.
know how narratives are constructed. And within like just the Western hemisphere, a lot of narratives get recycled over
Yes.
and over and
We
over.
we're just seeing another remake right now. Trump 2.0 is just a remake of so many other things.
He recycles all these narratives. Like, so it's like when you're reading the news, if you're like, this sounds familiar, it's because it is.
And deja vu, like every other episode I've been saying, like when we're talking about when I had Bill on talking about invading Iran, like I said, we're getting deja vu. Talking about the AIDS crisis last week, like we're getting deja vu. There's so many moments of this playing out. But one of the things I love about working with you all those years is that we actually shared an office, right, with all the other PhDs. It was a huge office with a lot of us. And the office was one of my favorite places because we were able to always bounce ideas off of each other. And I loved us. I loved all of us because we were all coming from different places. We all had different life experiences, even different politics, and we were all in the same room, different philosophies on theater and life and everything else. But the office was always a place where we were able to engage with our multiple perspectives, and it made what we were doing as individuals so much stronger. It
And
made
what
our
helped too
research
is
better.
having that common language of theater and performance
Yes.
studies. We we
Yeah.
are all operating at least from the same, right, like type of vocabulary, which I think
Yeah.
is missing. Just to zoom this out, just
Yeah.
broadly, like
Oh
that's
my God,
missing. We
yes.
don't, as a populace, we don't have enough shared language.
100%. And we're losing it more and more because of the polarization and the algorithms and the way that we are constantly being separated from each other and put into boxes and put into echo chambers and put into bubbles. The way that we are deliberately limiting perspectives. We need perspectives. We need different because it is the only way that'll make our arguments stronger, which is why we were such good scholars, is because we had each other in the room to bounce and be like, okay, no, that doesn't work. And we were all rooting for each other too. That's something that we're missing in the country is that we should all be rooting for each other as a nation. We all live here, right? But it doesn't feel that we are working with our own best interests collectively a lot of the time, that we always are trying to get the gotcha and we're trying to undermine half the country a lot of the time. Like the difference between our country and that office was that we didn't always agree, but we really wanted what was best for each other. We were never trying to undercut each other. We were always trying to uplift each other. And I think that if we're able to extend the values of that office into the larger country, I think we would be so much better for it. And one thing in particular, especially about you and me, is that, you come from Hawaii. I come from Pennsylvania, right? We come from very different places, but you in particular were able very early on to find our common ground. And we became very close friends very quickly. And one of the things we have in common is we value our ancestors
Yes.
a lot. We would have a lot of conversations about that. And I would always say my ancestors, being Sicilian and Irish, are island people. And that was my way of drawing a connection to Hawaii.
And yeah, and they are like, I'm gonna self plug here, but islands.
Yes, please do.
I've been researching a lot about like how islanders, and my case study is Hawaii because I have that experience, but like how do islanders tell their story in a way that's
Yeah.
different from a continental perspective?
Yeah, I love that so much. That makes me so happy. And then, of course, the histories of colonization, right, with Hawaii, Ireland, and Sicily, and we were able to find common ground in that as well. Really are a bridge builder, and you're very good at it. So how do we fix this country?
In kind of picking up our conversation about this absence of like shared language, it's like
Yeah,
it's such a shame that it's like we've gotten to this low point that we can't even understand why we disagree. Like going
right.
back to your anecdote about being in the office, like when there were disagreements, we understood why.
Yes,
Like where the
always,
source of the
always.
disagreement, like we were able to
Yeah,
like articulate that very clearly, but we're in this like complete like breakage of thought and communication that like across party line, but within party line too. Like there's such a fissure on both sides that nobody
yeah,
can seem to communicate like what it is the disagreement is. And it's such a
right.
shame because it's like once you kind of like sift through all the like buzzwords, gotcha, ploys, all those things, what it comes down to is just safety.
Right. Oh my
Safety and
God,
just like
yes.
getting through the week. So like a lot of what I've been thinking about is like, okay, like we're having such a horrible like language and communication breakdown. Like, let's figure out like where we can coexist in space, just on a
Yeah.
spatial
Yes,
level,
physical space.
just
Yeah.
physical space. Cause it's like before, I mean, language is one of the last things to come. If
Yeah.
we think about just human development, like, can we
Right.
just share space? Can we just
Yeah,
like be in the same space for a minute and not be at each other's throats? And that's
absolutely.
possible. We're at such
Absolutely.
a low point that we need to sort of take it back to basics.
Yes, and
Yeah,
keep
until we
talking
rid
because this is
ourselves
great.
of all this like a lot of the sort of conditioning that media has
Hmm.
enforced, it's
Yeah.
almost actually like trying to learn a new language again. Because I think the
Yeah.
way that we're conditioned to speak, it's whether we realize it or not, it's so conditioned by whatever you watch, Fox, CNN, whatever your
Yeah.
media choices. It's like we start parroting all those
Yes.
things without even sort of being conscious of it. Like, and until we can really unplug and disconnect and actually find our own
There's
authentic
entire
language.
universes. It's like the multiverse. It's becoming the multiverse where every single news channel has its own lore that they've created, like their own fanfic almost, their own language. And, there's language that's very specific to Fox. And we saw that, in the clip with Laura Trump, where she's like, but school choice, which is something that is very specific to that audience. But for Charlemagne, who is not part of that world, he's like, yeah, no, people are hurting. It's not enough to just use the right words, right? And MSNBC is going to have their own words, and CNN is going to have their own language. And in academia, we have what I've always called secret wizard language.
Yeah, what I've learned over the past few years is you really have to get out of your own lane
You
because
you
you
really
realize,
do.
oh, there's like a freaking Rosetta Stone for
Yes.
each of these spaces. Like people, you can tell people that watch Fox News have their own, it's like a code. School
Yeah,
choice,
yeah,
like that's a
yeah,
loaded phrase and that means something.
yeah.
And they've all been conditioned to have this sort of like singular definition when in reality, like selecting one school for your child is actually way more complex than Fox is making it out to
Right.
be.
It's not just a buzzword, it's a process. Yeah.
This is part of the communication breakdown because of somebody that comes from academia, somebody that consumes liberal media, that's one code that's it
Hmm.
totally incompatible with that
Right.
Fox code. So it's we're speaking English, but we're not. We're really
Exactly.
not. We're actually
It's
speaking two
so
different
true. It reminds me of when I
languages.
was in London a couple weeks ago and we're all speaking the same language, but because of the accents, I couldn't always, I'd have to, like, what, excuse me, say that again. I always say this, especially because I was raised Republican, and I was raised on Rush Limbaugh, and I got Ann Coulter books for Christmas. I say I speak fluent conservative,
And
but
it's
I
like
am not,
important to still
yeah,
keep that fluency, but like something
yes,
that's
yes,
concerning is this inability to separate like your own thoughts from those talking
a
points.
hundred,
This is my teacher moment. In your own
yes.
words,
Hmm.
right? Like, or flag it for me. Like, this is something I heard almost like a scholar doing a lit review, like so and so says. It's this
Yeah,
mentality of I say, they say.
yes,
And if the more we can practice that, the better. Of like, what's your take?
yes,
Use your life experience. What's your
yes,
take versus what's their take? There's going to be overlap, of course, like especially if you
yes,
agree with
always,
somebody,
of
but
course.
find the part where maybe it's a little different.
Yeah. And I think social media has made that worse also because of the share button. But like by the 2016 election, we got so, I'm going to say, because I did this too, so this is a self-own, we got lazy where we would share articles from different publications and just
Without
say
reading them.
this. But even with just say this or read this, and it became a habit where we stopped using our own words. And when we compromise our own individual voices, first of all, we lose a lot of credibility if we don't have that kind of skin in the game where we can even use our own words. Like, we're not going to persuade anybody by sharing other people's work. And people like friends on the left, I love you all, but please stop sharing things from other accounts. I mean, occasionally, sure, but like say something in your own voice every now and then. Like get into the habit of it, especially if you're trying to convince other people, because it means so much more coming from you. They don't know that journalist. They don't trust that journalist. They know you. So what do you have to say? Like put some skin in the game.
Right, or like this is our discipline, but this is where storytelling is important.
Yes.
Like storytelling is integral to politics. This is the antidote. Like for all the storytelling that this administration is doing, you need to respond right back
Yeah.
with your own story, because a lot of times things that you're going through are going to resonate, especially now. I mean, even if it's just like egg prices, that's the kind of common story right now,
Right,
but that's
right.
real. Like,
But yes, and this is how the Tea Party started in 2009, right? If we look at like the early days of the Tea Party, it was at the very start, it was a bottom-up thing where you would have town halls and people would come in and tell their stories about how Obama's policies were negatively impacting them. And then that became a trend, and it was real people, everyday people sharing their stories. And that's how you turned that into a mass populist movement that eventually got co-opted by the elites in the conservative movement. But I was still a Republican at the time, and I remember those early days, and I remember how powerful it was and how effective it was that even a lot of people who voted for Obama then moved over into the Tea Party because these were their friends and neighbors simply sharing their stories. So, like, if we could get that kind of energy, but I'm not seeing that right now because I'm seeing a lot more people sharing what other people are saying from the top down. And, it just it does not hit the same way. But let's talk about, I'm going to shift gears real quick because I'm really excited about this idea of physical space, of getting people of different backgrounds in that physical space. Because one of the things that was bad about the pandemic and also ended up being a good thing was that we lost that office, right? We all had to go home. We all had to go into lockdown. We lost that physical space where we could all be. Now, it was bad because I missed having us to bounce ideas off of. I actually got us on Zoom. I said, "Hey, cohort, let's get on Zoom. Let's keep that energy go." It was not the same. It was not that same organic thing of I'm eating my lunch in my office and I'm going to bounce some ideas off, but it helped. But one of the good things about that was that I was now in a physical space with my family, which is, they're not academics. And there's some political differences there. And instead of being in the office with my fellow academics, using that academic language and that academic perspective, I was at the dinner table with my family. And me trying to explain what I was writing in my dissertation, I knew that if they didn't understand what I was talking about, that I was not making it accessible and that I needed to shift my language and my communication to make it land. But that power of being in the same space Where can we get that today?
Right. So I totally agree. Like, and I'm gonna kind of extend this intro to say that like being in physical space, and especially now that I'm a mom to a toddler, and looking at like in real
God
time, like
bless you.
how human development works and how
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
acquisition
yeah,
happens like in real time.
yeah.
It's through presence and it's through embodiment and it's in sharing space. Like we learn a lot from each other, just like literally breathing the same air. And there's so much information gathering that happens before a single word is uttered. And as adults, I think we have the potential to do that. And I think post COVID, we're in this like social and cultural like reset
Hmm.
and trying to like actually figure out again in much kind of a similar way as babies kind of starting to learn how to exist in the world of like, yeah, how do we share space?
Yeah,
What can we get out of this? And so something that has been really beneficial for me is just shopping and just being in certain particular stores.
yeah.
This has a point, but because I'm a mom, my social life is sort of non-existent. Like
Hmm.
my like weekly highlight is going to Costco and Home Depot. When I
Yeah.
otherwise would go see a show or go to a restaurant, I'm at Costco at 5:30. Being in that space, you know, I'm just a people watcher, but something has sort of shifted the last couple of years. And when I'm in there, I feel more aware of my surroundings and I
Mm.
look around, right? And like I cart shop. I'm like, oh, what did I miss? Like,
Yeah, me
oh,
too.
I missed that deal on the pretzels. Like I have to go back. But just like anecdotally, like looking around and I'm seeing so many different people from so many different communities.
Yeah.
On especially days when I feel sort of like hopeless about the political climate and situation and sort of
Yeah.
wondering like, is there any common ground left? You know, because it's not online. The discourse online says no. But then if you're actually out in the world, like out in the
Yeah.
like quote,
Right.
like
In
real
the
world,
physical world.
I see it in those spaces. I see it in Costco and I see it in Home Depot. I see people that read as queer coded, and I also see
Hmm.
people that very explicitly read as Trump supporters.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they're both shopping for plywood,
Right.
right? Like, oh, they're
Right.
like I go, and part of why I think it's my highlight is like that's like the one glimmer of hope that I encounter. And
Heck
it
yeah.
because it's real, like it because it's
Heck
outside
yeah.
the computer, it feels tangible. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that. Like you know, there's people of color in here, there's white people, and we're all just
Yeah.
like shopping for like bread and like wood. And it feels very just like mundane and ordinary in the most
Oh,
like
thank
kind of
God.
uplifting of ways. Like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of do a bingo card of like how many things in common can I see across different groups? Like how many things? Like even just, you know, we buy the same bread. That's great. There
Right.
must be some
Right.
shared kind of value there if we're buying the same bread.
Yeah, well, I mean, going to Home Depot and Co what I love about both of these places, but especially Home Depot. Now, I'm a lesbian, so I love Home Depot. That's kind of the mothership to begin with, but I love the idea of building things. You know, the people who go to Home Depot are fixers and they are DIYers and they are builders and they are problem solvers. And whether it's the person who's going in for the first time who doesn't know where the drills are, or the seasoned veteran who goes in and knows every detail of every outlay of the store, you know, the common goal of building is something that I love. It's something that I respect. Like speaking of my ancestors, I mean, my ancestors were farmers from the old country. They were, you know, Sicilian peasants and they were bricklayers. So I always say that I come from people who plant seeds and build things. If you are a builder, let's build together. If you are, you know, somebody who creates life, right? Whether it's a parent, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a creative person who's making art. Like I see all of these things as connected and it does transcend party lines. And I would much rather have that than the destroyers.
Yeah, and it's like that attitude. And like whenever I'm in those stores, I feel a lot of commonality. This could just be a Midwest thing. Part of my introduction, I live in Michigan, and I'm not originally, you know, from here, as I've said, but like
You've learned the ways,
I've learned the
the
ways of the
ways.
Midwesterners, and they're very chatty. Like they're very people here are very like approachable and accessible, and I
I
see
love
that a
that so
lot
much.
in Home Depot. Like People just being curious. That's the other kind of quality that I notice about Midwesterners is that they're
Yeah.
very curious. But it's
Yeah.
like, you have at Home Depot, like you have your things in the cart. And it's like, what do not employees, just like other shoppers, like, what are you building? And there's so many instances where like people that I may not have typically talk to just based on
Right.
appearance, like we're
Yeah.
swapping tips, like tips and tricks, like,
Tips and
oh, like
tricks.
kids in this like cart like, oh, the wood's cut small, what are you doing? Oh, I see you have paint, like, what are you doing? We're making a birdhouse, like, oh, here's my tip for birdhouses. And then it's like you're having a
Yes.
full-on conversation with somebody, and that person might be a Trump supporter. It's a small thing, but it's like if we can agree to like make a birdhouse in this
That's the
moment,
first step.
that's the first
That's
step.
it.
And if we get out of our devices and such, and we're just sharing space,
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
to me, that signals help. And so in this I guess time of crisis, like something that I've been really mindful about is really being kind of mindful of my values and actually rechecking them.
Yeah,
Because it's like,
always.
this is the
Constantly.
time to like make sure the values that you have, like, are you going to stick with them? This is like, is this your
Because you're
final
going to be
answer?
tested.
Because you're going to be
We are all
tested
going to be, I've been tested a million times this year alone.
every single day. And like my husband and I had a conversation of like, okay, we need to really affirm our values. Like,
Yeah,
where's the line? There's
exactly.
both like humorous but serious talks about people leaving. And this is
Yeah,
how it came up of
yeah.
like, what's our line? What's the
Right,
line that if it
right.
gets crossed, when would we flee? Because I don't think it's helpful just to panic move right now. Like, I know.
No, God, no.
And so in Jenna fashion, my brain developed this metaphor of like, how would I summarize my politics? And I've just gone through a lot of sort of political questioning with just critique with the left, and of
Right,
course
right,
critique with the right, but feeling kind of dissatisfied with both spectrums, as we talked about, right? Like being mindful about using the buzzwords and just
right.
parroting. And so being in these spaces of Costco and Home Depot, I came up with this phrase of Costco politics,
Yes,
of like, what's common ground, like what are shared spaces, what are shared like ideologies, principles,
of
like
course. Yeah.
that. Then we're going to name them as corporations, but if we treat the country as a corporation, it does kind of run similarly. But
Well, a little, especially now. Yeah, but
how can it run
yeah,
as an ethical corporation? How can it run in a way that
exactly.
serves like the widest kind of common denominator of people? And what a lot
Hmm.
of kind of what we're pointing to is like working class experience. It's on economic
Hmm.
kind of lines, right? Like unifying through economics. And I sort of, in my like kind of political philosophizing, I treat the hot dog, the $1.50 hot dog soda combo, as a national symbol akin to the Statue of Liberty.
Amen.
That
Amen.
it's this like beacon of stability and hope. Like it's like the CEO has maintained in all these economic shifts that the price has to stay at $1.50.
And you know what? That might be a good indicator if the 150 hot dog, right, and the soda from Costco, if that changes, right, that is an indication that something has
It's a
gone
miss. It's
awry.
mhm.
That there is something rotten in the state of Denmark, so to speak. But I love the idea of like values and principles, right, as an ethical framework. I say this all the time. Like, what are the values? The principles are how you put them into practice, right? That's the systems, that's the framework, that's the ideologies, that's the worldview. But like it starts with what we value. And as you know, like I talk to people who are on the other side of the political spectrum quite often. Because speaking of shared space, you and I both live in swing states. The swing state is a very interesting phenomenon in terms of shared space. I just think about my block, right? I think about the political signs that I see, and it's like, last fall. Well, there were less signs last fall, and that was noted because people felt less comfortable expressing themselves. Like that in and of itself was a not a good sign. But it's like, Republican, Democrat, 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 Republican, 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 Democrat. And that's my block, right? These are my neighbors. These are the people that I share space with. This is the church. This is the school. This is the district. So we don't really have a choice of going into a bubble.
Right. Like this is my first time living in the Midwest, and in a purple state. I've kind of historically lived in like very blue, like deep,
Yeah,
deep
deep
blue
blue.
states.
Yeah.
But it's been so beneficial for me just like intellectually and socially to live in this mixed state.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it provides more of a sort of holistic take on what's happening on either side. If you're really in red or if you're really in blue, there's blind spots. You're going to be
Yeah.
subjected to blind spots. But living
Absolutely.
in this purple where you have to encounter difference on a daily basis,
Yes.
it's helped affirm my values because it's to put it in a scholarly way, like we read a lot of different types of like takes
Right.
and intentionally, like you have to know the field, right? Like
Yeah.
what's the whole,
Yeah. What's the
left
big
to right,
picture?
top down, what is the situation? And you have to point your, position yourself on this kind of large XY axis, like where are
Oh,
you in this? And
absolutely.
it's much harder to do it if you're just in an X axis or a Y axis. Like for those of you listening, watching, like imagine you're like, algebra chart.
Yeah, right. Your
Like
old
where
school
are
algebra
you on
chart.
that? Like you have to
Yeah.
be able to pin yourself and you can't really do so if you're missing an entire axis.
Yeah, like if you're missing perspective, because this is what I'm always saying is like you need the perspective. And then you also have to realize that things are relative. Like a person can be a red dot in a blue state, but if that same person moves to Alabama, they could be seen as a communist, you know, because these things are very, very relative depending on where you are. And I always say, like, I think that the Democratic Party is having a moment right now, maybe an identity crisis of sorts. But I always say that the swing states, like the Pennsylvania, the Midwest, and the South, is where they should be looking, right? Look at the Democrats in these areas because these are the ones who are always negotiating differences with people who disagree with them. And in order for the party to be nationally relevant, right, is listen to these voices. The future needs to be Midwestern, it needs to be PA, it needs to be the South. Much as I love the blue states, and I do, don't miss out on the wealth of knowledge that we have in these situations where we are on the ground every day negotiating these differences. And the same for the Republican Party because the same thing is happening. Their identity has become MAGA. And like, again, depending on where you are in the country, that's going to look very, very different. Yeah. So Costco politics. I love everything about this. Well, first of all, I love the metaphor, like the label, Costco politics. I think that whichever party adopts Costco politics could have a political monopoly for the next generation, because it emphasizes common ground. The idea of building and fixing and problem solving and negotiating, the coupons, the deals, the
Yeah.
buying in bulk, all of it. Like it is America. Like it's the heart of America is Costco.
It really is. And funny enough, Costco originates from Seattle.
Good for them from a very blue state.
It's like the existence of a Costco is like very bipartisan. It's like for me, like if I could define it, it's like it's issue focused bipartisan policy making.
Going back to my intro, going back to the issue of the big beautiful bill and whether or not Trump's policies have been working, Charlemagne says it, like we're not feeling it. It's not
Mm-mm.
we're not feeling the benefits of it in our personal and family and household budgets. And we keep getting told, well, wait another 6 months, wait 6 months. We were told that 6 months ago. And again, he campaigned on this. Now, I don't agree with Donald Trump on a lot of things, but when it comes to making life more affordable, he has my full blessing. He has my full Catholic blessing on those endeavors because I do think that we desperately need some more affordability.
What I think the fissure, like the schism that's happening, is like real life is starting to get too real. That
Yeah,
there's a kind of over concentration on just getting from day to day, like week to week. That
yeah,
escapism has become inaffordable. It's just
right.
it's not affordable anymore. And the
Yeah,
balance between like I think just a holistically healthy life has to have some balance of reality and escapism. Like this is
yeah,
to uplift our profession. Like this is why theater and performance exists. Like every culture needs some form of escapism and entertainment,
yeah,
an accessible one and a variety of one. But if people are so sort of like strapped economically that you can't engage, it creates
yeah.
this economic sort of malfunction.
And
Yeah,
it
people are
hurts it
hyper
hurts the
fixating.
entire psyche of the country. Like you and I, we know people who have not been able to afford a vacation, maybe ever, but definitely in the last decade, or they haven't been able to afford to take off from work, right? Just to go to the beach or to go somewhere or what have you. Like like you say, like the lack of affordable escapism. What is that line from The Shining? All work and no play.
Yeah, like yeah,
We're all
it's
going a little crazy, getting a little ridiculous. And then I was in London last week and it was actually more affordable and everything was higher quality. And it made me really upset because I said, now I have to go back to the United States where I have to pay more money for cheaper crap. But if I'm going to be getting my ultra processed hot dog, I at least want it to cost 150.
right, relative.
Yeah, like can we, like the dollar menu doesn't exist anymore. And this is, it's been something that's been happening since 2008. We've seen the cracks, and after that, there's really no going back. But listen, whoever, takes on the Costco politics, like, make our lives easier. Let us build things.
What also inspired this is just like we talked about this earlier in the segment, but like these Midwestern politicians are
Yes.
doing
Ah, I
some
love
of the
them.
best kind of bipartisan work that
Yes.
it gives me hope anyways. Like I've been a fan of Governor Whitmer
Love
of
her.
Michigan.
Yeah. Big Gretch. Yeah.
Yeah, fix the damn roads, Gretchen.
It is time to fix the damn roads.
That was her
Tim
thing.
Walz. Yeah.
And Tim
With
Waltz
what was his
too.
what was his line?
Mind your own damn business.
Mind your own damn business.
Mind your own damn business. Like, yeah. And
We saw glimpses of it in that
yeah.
run, in that Harris Waltz run, and then like just because I guess I'm a Michigander now, but like seeing her sort
Yeah,
of,
you
like,
are.
campaign and then like consistently delivering, like is what
Yeah.
this is what I appreciate about her. Like the running joke in Michigan is like it's just especially in Ann Arbor where I'm residing is like every single road somewhere is always under construction. Something somewhere is
Yeah.
always under construction, and it's like a little bit of a nuisance. But on the one hand, I appreciate that something's being done because
Yeah.
nothing's more
Things are
frustrating than a
happening.
politician being like, yeah, like we're gonna fix this, and then 10 years go by and then nothing happens, and like a boondoggle kind of starts forming. But like there's construction crews, like things are happening. Like she said, we're
Absolutely.
gonna fix the roads, and the roads are being fixed. This is what we
Shapiro over
want.
here in PA. I don't know if you saw that there was a big truck explosion over on I-95 and like a whole section of the road collapsed and he fixed it in like a week. And he had like cameras up. He had like a live stream. And I said that's like the perfect form of transparency where it's like get things done. Build it fast, show us what you're doing. He had to cut a lot of his own red tape. Not his red tape, but like the state's red tape, to make it go quickly. But I mean, that's what people need. I mean, I think Shapiro and Whitmer are great. I love the two of them. I want that ticket so badly.
Yeah, and then like people have criticized Whitmer for like even kind of like collaborating with Donald Trump, but
They don't
she
have
has
choices.
maintained her
Yeah.
values. She has been
Yeah.
outspoken about things that she disagrees with him about.
Yes.
And
100%. I agree.
her presence there is, and she's maintained like she's doing things for Michigan.
Yeah, like you don't have a choice. When you're a governor, you do not have a choice. You have to collaborate with who is in the White House. Billions of dollars are at stake. I don't know if you've read the book Abundance by Ezra Klein, but he talks a lot about this. And it's less Costco politics, but it's more like how do we actually get things done? How do we not be the party that is promising things like a high-speed rail, pouring billions of or hundreds of millions of dollars into it, and then it never comes to fruition like 12 years later? How do we actually do the things that we say that we're going to do in a timely fashion, which is all anybody really wants?
Right, like wide scale common denominator things like roads. Like
Yeah.
this is why I have the example that I do is like that benefits everybody. People
Yeah.
got places to be and people want to
Yes.
get there safely. Like that
Yes.
impacts everybody. And then we're not so stuck in like what I call like decorative like ideology kind of politics, like just like hyper fixation on certain terms.
There it is again, another good metaphor, like another good
Decorative
decorative
politics. Like
politics.
I want concrete politics. I want Costco politics, something that's like gonna help me get
Tangible.
through
Yeah,
the
something that
week.
is
Like
tangible, not the gold leaf that he's putting all over the White House right now. It looks a little tacky, if you ask
right,
me.
or like 1% things. That's what I would also call it, like
Yes.
decorative or
Yeah.
like 1% things, like whether that's like this nonsense with the ballroom or like something a bit more like
Yeah, he's
more
killing
serious,
me.
like this attention towards like trans athletes, some
Poured
population.
billions of dollars into campaigning against that issue that impacts less than 1% of the American
It's like less than
population.
1%, but it's like
Yeah.
that
They've
a presence of
gone
a
all in
trans
on that.
person in sports doesn't impact one's ability to like get gas or like put food on the
Right.
table. Like that, it's
Right.
completely irrelevant.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like you'll hear people ask Trump supporters all the time, like, what has Trump done to make your life better? And they'll say, well, he got those trans women out of the sports. You know, the culture war issues and everything else have taken over a lot of the conversation because there's big money in it. I'll say it like for what it is. There's big money in it. It's a the culture war is a $1 billion industry. Meanwhile, we just want to go to Costco and get our hot dog for 150.
Right. And I would bet like that's the I feel fairly confident that like that is the overlap, like a Trump supporter and somebody from the queer
Yeah.
community or a person of
Yeah.
color, like we can bond over that hot dog.
It's sitting down with somebody in the same space and sharing something with them, something enjoyable. So like whatever your drink of choice is or non-alcoholic, more power to you, full support. It's taking the time to sit down and share something with somebody and having conversations. And I think we just need to find ways to get into the same spaces, get talking to people in real life. And it's not like you have to go in guns blazing, being like, politics. Talk about the birdhouse.
Right, like that's like this it's like my political lab. Like I people watch and I notice it's like this is I think where the fertile ground is. You know, you don't have to start right into like, so what did you think have you read the big bill yet? Like you don't go
Right,
from 0 to
right.
60,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
just like it's
yeah,
talking about like just tangible real things like what are you making? What are you
Oh,
making
yeah.
for dinner? What's your beer of choice?
Right now, the field is wide open for someone like the Democrats to come in and take on Costco politics. Not only does a party need to come in and take on the language and the sentiment, but like they need to take on the action. They need to back it up. They need to get things going. And like I said, whoever does this first is going to have a political monopoly in this country for the next generation. The sooner we can lower the temperature and be a friggin' country again.
Yes. Yes. And like looking at
Amen.
Walter Whitmer, they've done just, I haven't agreed with everything they've done, but the things that I have is like balancing, like empowering people to make choices that suit
Yes.
their like needs,
That's
like
all anybody wants.
and
That's
appealing to
all anybody
wide groups of
wants.
people, particularly minority groups, thinking about
Yeah.
Waltz here, especially like enabling people like going back to his phrase, mind your own business, like
Yeah. Yeah.
allowing people to make the choice that feels best for them while still appealing to a wide common denominator, like infrastructurally.
And what's interesting is that that's actually a conservative value,
Isn't
believe it
that
or
funny?
not. Isn't that insane? And this
Yeah.
is again, like this is the common ground. It's like one of the most primal conservative basic values is the empowerment of the individual to make choices that are right for them without
And
any
attention
other
to the
kind of
economy
overreach.
too. Like you
Yeah.
could call
Yeah.
Whitmer and Waltz, somebody could call them moderates,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's the
Some
kind
people
of
have called them communists.
right. But it's like OG Republican, like pre-Trump Republican
Yeah.
platform was
Yeah.
like individual choice, like an
Yeah.
empowering the individual and their freedoms and the economy, like a really stable
Yeah,
economy and like
it's
attention to
that
care.
classical liberal kind of conservatism that I was raised in that I think I still have a lot of deep inside. It's in my DNA. But I'm like, can't we just empower individuals to make choices? Can't we? I mean, that's like I sound like Margaret Thatcher right now.
So you have to do the impression now.
You gotta do the impression. And so they are casting their problems on society. And who is society? There's no such thing. There are individual men and women, and there are families, and no government can do anything except through people. And people look to themselves first.
Yes.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
And yes, teeth.
Yes, she has. The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of everyone else's money. I do a very good Thatcher impression because I was once on a plane to England and I think I watched The Iron Lady on repeat to override my fear of flying. So I'm like doing an impression of Meryl Streep doing an impression. But like I listened to, and I disagree with Margaret Thatcher on many, many things, but on that quote in particular, I actually do agree with her. And in terms of a political philosophy, I agree with her. And maybe that makes me a populist. I don't know. But it's like the populism. What I like about Costco politics is it's the populism without the anger and hate. And I think that that
Yes.
is so what we desperately need right now. Because, I mean, it's okay to be angry because there's a lot to be angry about. But I think that if we can get populism to a place where it's about the everyday needs and the connections with people and building the bridges, then I think that we'll be in a much better place.
Yeah,
Um,
simple, reliable, and leaving you feeling like you walked away with more than you paid for.
exactly. Oh, here comes Randall. Hello,
Randall,
Randall. Here, let me get him.
I'm so honored. I don't think I've ever seen him live. I've only seen you on
Oh,
Instagram.
say hello.
Oh, and you know
Headphone.
what, Randall, all are welcome at Home Depot. Randall's allowed at Home Depot.
So I think that this is a good cue for us to start saying goodbye. Thank you, Jenna, for coming on to talk about Costco politics. I think that this is a magnificent framework. I think that what we take away from it, right, is the common ground, is the personal stories, is the adding that personal, individual touch to politics that we are really missing right now. Like it has been a lot easier to share other people's words for so long, but in the process, a lot of us have lost our own voices. So we need to cultivate that because we can't connect to people with other people's words. It just doesn't happen that way.
Right. And everybody has a Costco experience.
Yeah. Yeah, even people that
Everybody.
don't go to Costco, like there is somewhere, something where you go to get the things that you need, whether it's the bodega, whether it is that corner store, whether it's Dollar Tree, whether it is Dollar General. But it's like everybody has that place. And you're standing in that long line, you're talking, you're joking. It does not matter what the politics are of the person next to you. You're all people in that moment, you're all human. So, except Randall, who is in fact a dog. Thank you so much, Jenna, for coming on to talk about Costco politics. I love this framework. It is so useful. Okay, everybody, thank you so much.
The ones who crave freedom in a land so divided, where dreams and reality collided.
That's right. Randall is allowed at Home Depot. It is safe for Randalls.